So we're going to go ahead and we're going to recap real quick off of our Wellness 101. Since it's been several weeks since we've gone over wellness, I just kind of want to make sure that we're all still on the same page. So wellness is the act of practicing healthy habits on a daily basis to obtain better physical and mental health outcomes so that instead of just surviving, we are thriving. Wellness is dealing with the whole person, the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, social, and environmental. Lifestyle is a particular way of living that you do every day and not just something that you do every now and then. It's the way that a person lives their lives, and it's not just a way of eating right or exercising. It's actually essential to leading your life as a healthy lifestyle. Diet is just the kinds of food that a person chooses to eat, whether it's for weight loss or for medical reasons or just a personal choice. Holistic health is an approach to health that is concerned with the whole body as a whole, as opposed to traditional health, which concentrates on illness, wellness, and specific areas of the body. Holistic living is a style of living where you nurture your mind, your body, and your spirit as you focus on your well-being inside out, which is going to be a key component for tonight. It's this approach, it is believed that our mind and our body are connected. Conventional medicine is approach to medicine that is based on modern medicine and that evaluates the human body, its disorders and medical treatments in purely biophysical or biochemical terms. Common treatments methods include drugs, radiation, surgery, etc. Additionally, conventional medicine often prefers the most statistically likely diagnosis and treatments that work on a larger population versus an individualized person, which is what holistic is more for the individual versus a wide range of people. Conventional medicine is effective at treating issues that are obviously physical in nature and that require immediate attention, such as in an emergency situation. However, it falls short at addressing health issues that have complex causes and where specialized longer-term attention may be needed. So when we look at wellness, we need to look at the whole picture. We need to look at wellness from maybe a different perspective than maybe what we are used to. We need to maybe look at it more than just a diet or losing weight or something that you do for a short period of time. Wellness really needs to become a lifestyle. If we truly want to walk in the wholeness and fullness of who we are created to be, we need to start with us individually from the inside out. We need to take responsibility for ourselves and our actions. If we look outside first, we might get some results for a short period of time. But I believe if we look on the inside first, fix what is on the inside out, then we will not only get good results, but we will get life-changing results that will last a lifetime. So tonight's lesson is on who are you? Who am I? For the ones that's in the room and those that are watching later on video or as you're driving, take a look in the mirror. There should be a mirror on your table. I want you to take a look at the mirror. What do you see? Don't overlook it. Don't overthink it. But I want you to write down 3 to 5 things that you see when you look in the mirror. What comes to your mind? What pops into your head? I'll give you a couple of minutes to write those words down. And just for a side note, hopefully you don't see something like this. I came across this picture, kind of liked it, I laughed, and so I thought I would share it with you guys. So many times we see ourselves the way others see us, or what they say about us, instead of the way that God sees us, or who we really are. So many times we take on the appearance of the way others see us, such as in this next slide. So in this next slide, we're looking at ourselves in the mirror. The first mirror, it says, how my mom and dad sees me. Sometimes we get how we are, we look at ourselves because of how our parents are with us. Whether it be good, bad, or ugly, we can kind of take on that same thought process. And if we look into the next mirror, it's how maybe your girlfriend or your boyfriend sees me. That also may make yourself look at how you see yourself a little bit different. If you're looking at it in the same perspective as maybe how your girlfriend, your boyfriend sees you, especially if it's a current or a past one, definitely going to have a different perspective. In the next mirror, it says how my brother sees me, how your siblings see you. You're going to have a different relationship with each sibling, whether you have just brothers, whether you have just sisters or brothers and sisters, and how you interact with them may be different in how you actually see yourself. And then the last one, if you have an ex, well, sometimes we look at ourselves a whole lot different than the way our exes see us. They're an ex for a reason. And usually it's not a very positive thing. And so how other people see us, we can kind of tend to start looking at ourselves when we look at in the mirror and think of ourselves in the same way and the same thoughts that maybe others have either said about us, how they've projected things onto us, or just the words that they have spoken over us. When you look in the mirror, what do you see? Do you see the real you, or what have you been conditioned to believe is you? Sometimes we get caught up in our careers and in our everyday, today lives that we lose ourselves and who we truly are. There are times, especially for women, we compromise our likes or our dislikes to accommodate the need or desires of others, to the point we don't even really know who we are or even what we like or maybe dislike anymore. And as I was studying this whole lesson out, a movie kind of came to my mind, and I'm sure a lot of us have either seen it or have heard about it, but it's called The Runaway Bride. And there's a particular scene that kept coming to me, and it's where she doesn't know even what kind of eggs she likes. And so this scene, I'm going to go ahead and play it for you. This scene is all about the issues that she's had, because as she's gone to the altar multiple times, she takes off at the last second because she really doesn't know what she wants or who she wants. And so this guy that's in the scene is a reporter who has been watching her. He's been following her around, and this is what he has observed over why she's doing what she's doing.
In support of you were scared. You were scared then, you're scared now. You were the most lost woman I ever...
Lost?
Yes, lost. You were so lost you didn't even know what kind of eggs you like. Yes. Yes, that's right. With the priest, you wanted scrambled. With the deadhead, it was fried. With the other guy, the bug guy, it was poached. Now it's like, egg whites only. Thank you very much.
That's called changing your mind.
No, that's called not having a mind of your own. Maggie, what are you...
So in looking at this, there's a lot of different comments that I kind of came across. And I kind of thought it was pretty interesting because, you know, we get into a place sometimes and we do things that we don't even really realize what we're doing. In this movie, Maggie doesn't even know what she's doing as far as, you know, she's eating the poached eggs because so-and-so liked it. She's eating the fried eggs because so-and-so likes it. And then it comes to a part in the movie where she actually is tasting after everything she gets done, she ends up saying, I like Eggs Benedict. And she didn't even know that she liked Eggs Benedict. So as I kind of look back at my own life, and I didn't have a problem with eggs, but I can relate to this because I did do that with soda. And you guys are all probably wondering, what does this have to do with who you are? But hopefully I'll be able to bring everything in full circle, and this will all tie in and it will all make some sense here. So, you know, as a kid, as I grew up, because of what we had in the house, I drank RC. That's what my mom drank. That's what we were able to drink. And we had sweet tea. But then as I grew up and I got married, who I was with drank Coke. So I drank Coke. Then it was Pepsi. Then it was Dr. Pepper. Then it was Diet Dr. Pepper. And then it was Mountain Dew. Why did I do that? Partly because that's what was available as a child, as growing up. That was my choices that I have. When I got older and changed all the different sodas, partly was because of finances, but then the biggest part was because it's what somebody else liked. It had nothing to do with even what I liked. So, when I decided, what do I like? What does Lora like? I discovered that I really didn't like soda. It was way too sweet. But I discovered that what my body and I really liked and what I craved was water. That's probably not the favorite of most, but that's what I really liked. I also found out that I liked unsweet tea with lemon versus sweet tea without lemon. But what I really discovered I liked wasn't until I was about my early 30s, mid-30s, and that I really liked my coffee. So what does Lora like to drink? I mainly drink water and coffee. If I go out, I drink iced tea. So on this journey, I discovered a lot of different things about me. Some things that are true, some things that are not so true. Some things that other people have said about me or spoke over me or to me or even behind my back. That these things really are not and did not define who I am. Even down to the point of what the doctor said about me. As a child growing up, the doctor said I had a learning disability. The doctor said I would never graduate from high school. The doctor said I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that. My mom accepted all of that. My mom was like, whatever you can do, and never pushed me to do anything else. But there was something on the inside of me that said, no, there's something greater. And so I pushed myself. I had to go beyond what anybody else was saying. But far too many times, too many of us take those words and we identify ourselves as that. And we use that as a handicap, or we use that as an excuse instead of really looking at who we truly are. And as I got older and found out that I didn't really have a learning disability, what I had was my cerebellum didn't develop right, and so I had a fine motor coordination problem, and so I couldn't write real pretty. But that didn't mean I had a learning disability. But if I had let that define who I am, I would not have been able to accomplish the things that I've accomplished in my life. So all these things can have a huge effect on our lives and the outcomes of our destiny. Had I let what that doctor said, because I heard it over and over and over. Oh, it's okay, she can't do that. Oh, it's okay, she doesn't know how to do that. Oh, it's okay. No, it's not okay. I didn't let that define who I am or what my outcome was going to be, or even have that interfere with my destiny. Was it a struggle? Was it a fight? Absolutely. But there was something greater inside of me than what I even understood as a small child. So we have to be careful, and we have to recognize these types of things, and we have to really know, what does God say about us? Who does God say we are? Because even in the past, I would say things such as, being a nurse is who I am. And if I was not a nurse, I'm just not me. I mean, I literally at one point was, if I'm not a nurse, I'm nothing. Now, that's not the truth. But if I would have let that just reside in there, then I, again, would not be able to fulfill my destiny. So each one of us wears all kinds of different hats. We're different things to different people. We're sons, we're daughters, we're husbands, we're wives, we're mothers, we're brothers, we're sisters. Even in our careers, we have titles that people put on us, or even we put on ourselves, such as being a doctor, or a lawyer, a teacher, a minister, and so on. But that still does not really define who we really are. Those are just titles. So through life's journeys, twists and turns, our perspectives of ourselves can get a little twisted and a little out of balance. And we can lose sight of who we really are. We have to have a healthy relationship with ourselves before we can have a healthy relationship with others. We have to have a comfortable spot about ourselves before we can be comfortable and have good relationship with others. And in the past, we've had a lot of really good, wonderful teachers and pastors and Christian psychologists and counselors who have taught us about how to have a healthy marriage, how to raise our children, how to be good parents. But we really haven't had a whole lot of teaching on how to get along with ourselves. The key to all biblical relationships comes from the inside first. We need to clean the inside of our cup so that we can so what comes out of us is clean and not dirty. And Luke 6:45 says, "A good man brings good things out of the good stored up in his heart, and an evil man brings evil things out of the evil stored up in his heart. For the mouth speaks what the heart is full of." So if we take in all this negative stuff, and if we believe all this negative stuff, and as we look into the mirror and all we see is something that is undesirable to us, and our thoughts and our actions are, just negative stuff, then we're really not seeing who we really truly are. And so many people we hear nowadays, we talk about having a limitless life, and being able to do the supernatural things, and about quantum physics and the nano realms and all that type of stuff. We haven't seen people be empowered to do these things, not just yet, or at least not very often. Maybe the reason is because we have to have a healthy relationship with ourselves. And I'm not just talking about something superficial. I'm not just talking about, I love me. But I'm talking about really looking on the inside, really looking at who we really are. We have to have the courage to become aware of the things that we've been unaware of. We have to take a look at the things that's on the inside of us, the things that maybe aren't so happy to look at. we need to be able to accept who God has made us to be. If we can't be happy with this vessel, God has created this. And if all we are just negative, then how can we expect God to allow us to flow through the supernatural stuff, to do the things that we see or we know that's possible, such as walking through the wall, such as doing different things? If we can't really see who we really truly are, then we will always see that wall the same way, and it's not going to move, and we're not going to move through it. So we really need to take a look on the inside. You know, we strain our necks for approval, and we always are looking for, you know, the comparison or lacking the outward stuff, and that's just human nature. We're always comparing ourselves to other people and to this one and to that one. And, you know, we want to be like this writer or like this singer or whatever the case may be, but that's maybe not who God has called you to be. So what does God say about who you are? Genesis 1:27 says we are created in the image of God. So when you look in the mirror, do you see you or do you see God? Do you see Jesus? When people see you, what do they see? I like this next one because this guy, he's kind of like pondering. He's like, who is this person? What am I seeing? Who am I seeing? If we look at the word image, it's a likeness, a resemblance. Knowing that we are created in his image, that must mean that we look like, sound like, and act like him. Sometimes I think we need to have more of a childlike faith. If we can see ourselves the way that a child sees themselves. You see kids that they jump off the table, they jump off of, you know, the side of the pool and into the water with no fear. They're fearless because they don't see the danger in it. They don't see that they may get hurt. But as we get older and we get all this influence, this outside influence and stuff, sometimes those things hold us back because of our environment and the things that we've been through. In 1 Corinthians 3:16 and 17 says, "Do you not know that you are the temple of God and that the Spirit of God dwells in you? If any man destroys the temple of God, God will destroy him. The temple of God is holy, and that is what you are." And for us to look at ourselves in anything less than that, what are we really saying about God's creation? And 1 Corinthians 6:19 and 20 says, "What? Know ye not that your body is a temple of the Holy Ghost, which is in you, which you have of God, and you are not your own?" When we look at ourselves, if this is the temple that God has made, and we think things, maybe you don't actually say them out loud, but we think things. If your hair's straight, you want it curly. If it's curly, you want it straight. If it's long, you want it short. If it's short, you want long. You're too fat, you're too skinny, your hips are too wide, whatever the case is. Or some people just flat out, you're ugly. Those are the things that we are saying about God's creation. If we cannot love ourselves, then how can we ever love our neighbor? If how we feel about us in here, then how can we ever love out here? And as I was looking at that scripture, there are about 18 scriptures on loving your neighbor. I was kind of surprised there was actually that many. That kind of tells me that God's pretty serious about that. And that's in the Old Testament and in the New Testament. And Leviticus 19:18 says, "You shall not take vengeance nor bear any grudge against the sons of your people, but you shall love your neighbor as yourself. I am the Lord." In Matthew 19:19, honor your father and your mother, and you shall love your neighbor as yourself. In Mark 12:31, the second is this: you shall love your neighbor as yourself. There is no other commandments greater than these. In Luke 10:27, and he answered, you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your strength and with all your mind, and your neighbor as yourself. Don't worry, I'm not going to go through all 18. Romans 13:9, for this you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and if there is any other commandment, it is summed up in this saying, you shall love your neighbor as yourself. That sounds to me like God's pretty serious. So who is your neighbor? Is it just simply the person that lives right next door to you? I don't think so. I think that we need to kind of broaden our thoughts on who our neighbor is. Perhaps it's your friends, maybe your parents, maybe your siblings, those that stay near to you, the people that you meet daily, your colleagues at work, maybe it's your church members, your schoolmates, maybe it's even strangers, or perhaps, just maybe, it's ourselves. Maybe we need to look at it from a little bit different perspective. If God is saying that we need to love our neighbor as ourselves, but yet we don't even love ourselves, then how can we love our neighbor? How are we going to treat those that we come in contact with? How are we going to love those that are unlovable? Because it's easy to love somebody when they're nice and loving to us, but when they've done us wrong, when they've treated us wrong, when they've cut us out off in traffic, whatever the case may be, how do we get to that point that we can love beyond the way that we even love now? If we truly understand how God sees us, then there would be no question of who we are. If we believed and accepted what God says about us, then we would see and feel much different about ourselves. Here are a few things of what God thinks about you. You are valuable. I am the Creator, and you are my creation. I've breathed into your nostrils the breath of life. I created you in my own image. My eyes saw your unformed substance. I knit you together in your mother's womb. I know the number of hairs on your head, and before a word is on your tongue, I know it. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. You are more valuable than many sparrows. I have given you dominion over all sheep, oxen, and all beasts of the field, and birds of the heavens, and fish of the sea. I have crowned you with glory and honor as the pinnacle and the final act of the sixth day of creation. You are new. You are a new creation. The old has passed away. The new has come. You are finally free from sin and death. There is now no condemnation for you. You are now righteous in my sight with the very righteousness of my perfect Son. You've been saved by grace. You've been justified by faith. You are utterly secure in me. Nothing will be able to separate you from my love in Christ Jesus. No one is able to snatch you out of my hand, and I will never leave you nor forsake you. God has loved us so much that he's even given us Holy Spirit. Holy Spirit resides in each one of us. This is his dwelling place. This is the place where he inhabits. But yet, how do we treat it? How do we look at ourselves? How do we see ourselves? You know, we've been transformed. there's so much that God has given to us. And I know the ones that are here are mature Christians. But still, I think that we need a reminder of who are you? Who are we? Who does God say we are? And do we really, really believe that? Because if we did, how we carried ourselves would be completely different. How we see ourselves would be completely different. How we treat ourselves would be completely different. You may ask yourself, what does this have to do with Wellness 101? What does this have to do with, who we are today? And why are we talking about this? Because if we look at wellness as a whole, that's our body, our mind, our spirit, which is why I went over our previous lesson. It's just as a refresher, as a reminder, because we can't just take one aspect of us. We have to take us as a whole and look at us as a whole. And even though a lot of us are older and we've been through life circumstances and stuff, and sometimes we have it all figured out, I would challenge each one of us to really look on the inside. Are we really satisfied with God's creation? Do we really accept who God has created us to be from the inside out? Because what's on the inside will always eventually come out. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's ugly, no matter where you're at in your walk, in your journey, in your lifetime, if we don't ever really deal with that stuff that we've always just kind of stuffed down, eventually that always starts creeping up. And so, if I ask again for you to look in the mirror, what do you see now? Do you see anything different than what you did when we first came in? You don't have to say it out loud. If you want to write down something, you can. But hopefully, I pray that your perspective has shifted on how you see yourself when you look in the mirror. I pray that what you see is what God sees. I pray that what you see is that you are great because what matters most is how you see yourself. And I like this picture of this cat because it has a regular kitten, but yet when he looks in the mirror, he sees this lion. He is ferocious. He's big. He roars really big. I can tell you all day long that you are a wonderful person. You're beautiful. You're gorgeous. You have a great smile. You have a great personality. But if you don't know that, and if you don't believe that, and if you don't accept that, they're just words that somebody else is speaking. They're going through one ear and right out the other, and they're really not going to do you any good. So every time you look in the mirror, remember that God created you, and that everything He creates is beautiful and is good. That is a quote from Joyce Myers. And anytime you look into the mirror and there is a negative thought or a word that is spoken, think of this. If you could only see what God sees, let it shift your perspective. When you look in the mirror and you're thinking of something negative, look at it from God's perspective. What would God say about who He sees looking in the mirror? And at the end of the day, the more we love ourselves, care for ourselves, celebrate ourselves, then the more capable we are to love, care, and celebrate those who we care for. So it's important. I'm not saying that, a lot of people might look at it as, if you love yourself, if you celebrate yourself, that you're conceited or that you're stuck on yourself. I think somebody can take it too far to one extreme or the other. But if we can't look at ourselves and say, this is good, this is awesome, I am pretty, I have pretty eyes, I have a pretty smile, I have a great personality, if I can't say that about me, how am I ever going to expect anybody else to say that about me? Or how am I going to be able to accept what somebody else says about me? Because if I don't believe it in here, then it's not going to make a difference what anybody else is saying out there. So we'll conclude tonight, and hopefully when you look in your mirror, you realize who you are, who God created you to be. And there's tons and tons and tons and tons of scriptures that will tell us what God says about us. So we'll leave you with that tonight, and God bless.